mission. Like you running routes and all the brothers looking for me like I am the scout. He said he want a slave, said a cakeana. Got his baby mama mad, that bitch a Haitiana. Man without the nice scars, no fakeana. Said he want a taste, I'ma sit it on the Spaceyana. Carol. Call me the head honcho, bitch. I pull my weight back out and live. Scoring points with no assist. You are a fraud, I am legit. Oh, you mad cause you irrelevant? I'm talking shit just for the hell of it. Be the kid talking shit in detention. Figure of authority, never did I listen. College graduate, always had my own vision. Puerto Rican, now Pacino, making more than a tuition. Got my own company, I make all decisions. Dictator mindset, you better ask permission. Running into me, you're better off in a collision. I show no sympathy for a verbiage or a pigeon. I fell in love with a fuck boy. I fell in love. With a fuck boy. I fell in love with a fuck boy. I fell in love with a fuck boy. Better ask permission. Running into me, you're better off in a collision. I show no sympathy for a verbiage or a pigeon. I fell in love with a fuck boy. 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 I fell in love. Have you ever fell in love with a fuck boy? Come around popping shit with that fuck noise. I'm a thoroughbred bitch, I'm the real McCoy. I had to cancel that nigga, put him on void. I'm flying all around in my new toy, smoking on hips of that elbow. I should've never fucked around with that fuck boy. Nigga, shut your ass up with that fuck noise. Tree step and wine, tree step and wine, tree step and wine. Mommy, do your dance. Tree step and wine, tree step and wine, tree step and wine. Tree step and wine, tree step and wine, tree step and wine. We gon' run the wine. Tree step and wine, tree step and wine, tree step and wine. Driving down the beach and my top is down. Got the Kim's bumping that island sound. Police on my tail, I ain't slowing down. Need that rude gal living in that West Coast town. Boricua, que bonita, de Mexico, Puerto Rico to all of my chicas. Boricua, que bonita, de Mexico, Puerto Rico. Be about your cake, step your game up. I don't count on nobody to do shit for me. Only thing I count is paper. Y'all fake woke, it's time to wake up. Bloodline tracing back to the tribe of Judah or the 12 tribes of Jacob. Late nights turn to early morning hustle, gotta stay up. At the crib, quarantine, making plays like a layup. And then I call my nigga so we could lay up. He said he like me natural, I don't need to wear no makeup. Fuck a Karen bitch, she can get her jaw tested. She gon' try to play victim just so I can get arrested. Got these hating hoes sick, man, they all congested. Count the profit, put it back in, bitch, I stay invested.
Oh, hello.
Good afternoon, everybody.
I'm like, I can't hear you. Hello.
I know. I'm like, wait a minute, my mic's not on.
I'm like, wait, what?
Good afternoon, Miss Carol Cake. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just waking up, but I'm good.
Sis, I totally understand. I've been partying all weekend, and I'm exhausted. Today's my birthday. This is
Oh, happy
special to
birthday.
me. Thank you. Because
Sorry, my dogs are acting crazy. Stop. Stop it. Hello, sorry.
yeah, that's okay, honey. But I just, when I met Angel and she told me about you when I went and did my research, and I was just totally amazed and had so much admiration for you. And
Thank
I just
you.
think that you're a force to be reckoned with, and I just think you have so much to offer and so much knowledge to give women that are, coming behind you, and that are trying to be successful in so many different aspects, because I think that's important for us as women, to be acknowledged for. We wear many hats sometimes,
Right.
and that's never acknowledged. And I think that you've been able to accomplish so many different things in so many different, environments. And it's crazy because from athlete to real estate to being a business owner yourself, I mean, I just think that it's amazing.
Thank
And I
you.
want to give you your flowers, sis, because that's important. And I just respect you and have so much, like I said, admiration, and just admire you for being the woman that you are.
Thank you so much. I highly appreciate it.
Yes. Yes. So tell me, Carol, what first got you into music?
Oh, so that's funny. People who know me know that I've always been into music. I
Hmm.
actually play instruments. I started off back in elementary school playing the clarinet. I played in jazz band, marching band, symphonic band. So I learned how to read treble clef and music. And I would always do like the talent shows and, perform like just, doing covers of other artists like Aaliyah back in the day and Missy Elliott. And we would just do all that stuff. And then that kind of like, doing that on stage as a kid really just kind of made me really want to get into it later on. But I was like, I really didn't know which direction to go. But that was as a childhood things. And I would record myself like just kind of like playing around, freestyling. On
Uh-huh.
back in the day, they had this little robot called a 2XL robot, and it was for
Uh-huh.
trivial questions, and it was a tape. It was a tape cassette. You put in, you pop it in, you answer all the trivial questions. So I blew through the questions, answered all the questions, went and got a blank tape and started recording myself, just kind of messing around, freestyling to the Coolio Dangerous Minds like instrumental. Like I was just playing around, like just messing around as a kid. And so
Right.
then when I got into music, like on the instrumental side, that really opened up kind of like my eyes to see which direction I wanted to go. And so from there, I went to USC on a track scholarship and I picked up piano. So I learned the
Right.
full scale of music, treble clef, bass clef, just putting music together in general. And so from there, it was like, okay, let me really get in the studio. Let me just like I had so many friends, like, in college, you mess around with so
Right.
many different people and people like, oh, I rap, I this, I that. So I ended up meeting somebody, one of my good friends, this guy named Mickey Monday. He's an artist out actually right now. His name's Mickey Monday. Shout out to him.
Okay.
He was like, come out to the studio. I was out in South Central, right by
Hmm.
USC. Like, come out to the studio and record. I said, okay, I got this little cover I wrote to Lil Wayne 6 foot, 7 foot. Let me come record it. I don't got no money to pay you, but I'm just gonna come record it. So I ended up coming and recording. I did it in one take, no
Wow.
punch-ins, just straight. And it was like a gang of people there, so it was kind of nerve-wracking because I was nervous. But yeah, that was like my first time actually like putting my vocals on a track in a professional setting in a studio. And that was shit back like in 2010. So and I put that out on YouTube just to throw it out there. And people were like, oh, you're doing music. This is when I was still, this is before I went to my second Olympic games. I was still, competing in the
Wow.
problem of track and field. So people were like, are you doing music now? What's going on? And I'm like, yeah, I'm just kind of messing around with it to see how it goes.
Right.
And yeah, that was like my first taste of actually doing music. I took a little bit of a break because then I went back and made the 2012 Olympics. And then I fully got into music, I want to say early 2016 towards the end of 2015.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, Carol. And even with your videos and the things that I've seen online on YouTube, like their quality, they're
Thank
giving
you.
people that element of you got to step your game up when you come in that karaoke, because
Right.
you definitely give that vibe, and I love it. And it's
Thank you.
good to see that you invest in yourself,
Yeah.
and I tell artists that it's important to understand this business, and to understand that you can't make money unless it looks like quality. You can't
Exactly.
you can't give something that is not going to be something that you can sell or you can market. And I see your videos, the concepts, just the beginning, the intros, you're giving people a show, and I love
Thank
it.
you.
You're
Yes, thank
definitely
you.
you're definitely an artist. And I just like, even when I seen the one with you on the beach, I was like, oh my goodness, like you went from Beyonce to rapping, like, and it was just like, whoa, like, that whole Rihanna vibe, everything. I was
Yeah.
feeling it, since I was like, yo, I was like, she did that, like, you owned it, and I love it. I love it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I just feel like, I don't know, like I feel like as an artist, I just want to be able to like put out an entire like product, I feel like,
Right.
especially like the way the music game has changed like 10 years ago, you're looking at when streaming first came out. Before
Mm-hmm.
streaming, like music videos for me, they have more of like a quality aspect behind it. They have more of a storyline behind it. They had more
Right.
of like, it was like almost like a mini movie, if that makes sense. So that's the kind of direction I like to go in my videos. I kind of like to give like a mini movie.
Mm-hmm.
Now the videos nowadays are some of them are a lot shorter. They don't have really a concept. And for me, it's just, I
Right.
guess because like I'm from the era of watching the videos that were like mini movies. So I'm like, I still want to
Right.
put that, I want to include that in my art. So yeah.
Right. You brought me back when you were talking about the tape cassette. Like, that was actually how I first started recording. I ended up figuring out that you could put something in the little hole right there at the top of the tape cassette, and you could tape over it.
Yep.
And from there, I started taping myself. So it's funny that we have that same beginning of recording as the same,
Right.
like, and people don't understand that. Like, so tell me, what is your creative process like when you're recording?
Oh my God. It's so like, so it's funny because I have a writing process and then I have like a recording process. So like when I record, I usually like to be like in a very relaxed environment.
Mm-hmm.
My engineer, he's from South Central. We have a studio we go to, obviously like an actual studio, like all the nuts and bells and whistles. But then we actually, sometimes he'll pull up on me and record at my house or we'll record at his house. And I just like a very relaxed setting. I actually record sitting down. Like I could stand up and record, but I like to be chill. I'll be sitting down recording. Like I like to just be
Right.
very relaxed. I don't like it to be like some people like have to have a whole party going on in the studio for them to record.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, I'm the
Right.
opposite. Like I'd rather just have it be more like chill vibes. I'm sitting down, I'm in my element, I'm relaxing, I'm recording. And then when it's time to turn up, obviously, and bring that attitude, depending on what type of record I'm doing that day, then I can bring,
Mm-hmm.
I can bring the energy that is needed for that specific record. But I'll be just like this, sitting down, recording. So,
But that's your element, that's your comfortability, and I love that you own it.
yeah,
Like, some artists are not comfortable, and I think that's why the song doesn't come out the way it should, or it doesn't give that feeling.
right,
Um, that sometimes you need. You need that.
right.
Uh, how would you describe the music that you typically make, per se?
Wow. I will say the music for, if I had to give like I guess, umbrella answer for all the music that I make, most of the music that I make is more, I will say, I try to do music that it tells a story about myself. Everything that I
Mm-hmm.
speak about is real life. Like I'm not capping in none of my music. Nothing is like, I'm not just making up stuff that sounds cool just to say because it sounds cool at the time. Like everything like I put in my music is usually based off of stuff that has happened to me in my life in the past or that I could be
Mm-hmm.
currently going through. Like Three Step and Wine was obviously like a fun, that was like my first type of fun dance record. So I like to
Right.
dance,
Right.
I have a Caribbean
You had the
background with my
choreography
dad's.
going and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you had the choreography and everything, and that's important. When I seen that stage performance, I said, "No, I gotta put this in there. I gotta put this in the intro," because
Thank
I go to
you.
shows and I see artists that try to do that, and they have no unity
Nothing.
within the choreographers that they hire. You got to really work with them. You got to really feel the same body motions and movements and everything. And to see you do that with those two women, I was like, she got it. She got
Thank
it.
you.
She already know how to go and do a performance and have the right energy, and she practiced, because people don't understand practice is important. I see so many artists that show up with choreographers and they're not in line with the choreographer. And
right.
this, you did that. You did
Right.
that for me. I loved it.
Yeah,
I
no,
love
we did.
just from that performance that I see.
Thank you. I appreciate it. No, and it's funny because people ask like, what is your strong point as an artist? For me, my strong point is my performance. Like I feel like some people feel like their strongest element as an artist is maybe like being in the studio recording or their writing or whatever. For me, it's my performance. Like when it comes to performing, I just feel like, I guess because it's because I've been an athlete so long. I've been an athlete for my entire life. I'm used to being on a different type of stage, competing, showing out, running, racing. So it's almost like when I go on the stage and perform, I kind of get that same type of high, like, okay, it's time to show up and show out. Like, let me put on, It was like when I'm on the track, it's C-Ride. When I'm on the stage to perform, it's Carol Cake. Like I transform. People are like, you're just super chill, just sitting here talking. And then you go on stage, you become like a whole different person. And it's kind of like, I could turn it on and turn it off. And something about the music. Yeah, something about the music when I get on stage, I don't know. It's almost like I just play to the crowd, and, especially rehearsing. Rehearsing is very important when you have choreographers involved. And like I said, it goes back to being an athlete. Like, shit, I used to go to the track for 5 days a week and train hard. So it's like, okay, I could go to the dance studio twice a week and knock this routine out. Like, it's easy.
Right. And that was the thing. When I grew up, it was all about doing the talent shows and being a part of and like in our era. I grew up in the 80s. I'm actually 43 today.
Okay.
So
Happy birthday.
I grew up, I grew up in that era where you had to like dance. That was your one way out the hood. Everybody, if you wasn't dancing, you was rapping, you was singing, you was singing. Like that was your way out of the hood. That was your way to be noticed or to be seen, whether it be an athlete or music. So that it's crazy to see that. Like it's like you have to really own it, and you really have to rehearse, and that's what makes the best artists and the best performers. Like I tell people, you can be a great artist, but you're not a great performer, and you have to have a full package. You have to be able to package that all up and be able to sell it, and it's important. Like, and I think you own that. I told you, I was totally impressed. I was I need to have her on the show. I need to show women that there's women out here like Carol Cake, like that really is out here doing it and changing the aspect of how women are viewed as just overall beings. Like we have so many different just so many different aspects of us, and being an athlete, from artist to real estate, like that takes time, that takes energy, that takes dedication, and loyalty and passion, and I love that about you. I love that you have that.
Thank you so much.
Don't stop having that.
Thank you. I will not. I appreciate it.
You're inspiring so many women. So tell me, how did you become the fastest woman in PR?
So basically, it's funny. So my dad is Puerto Rican. He's born and raised out there, and my mom's from New Orleans. Born in New Orleans, but grew up here in Cal. We'll be back and forth. I'm born here in LA, California native. So my roots take me back. And when I was competing back in high school, I ran for the U.S. team back in the day. I made the USA national team, junior national team when I was younger. And my last name is Rodriguez. So it's funny. The Puerto Rican Federation had reached out to my high school coach and was like, hey, is she Puerto Rican? Like, what's going on? Like, her last name's Rodriguez. Like, what's happening? And so found out that I could switch over and represent my father's country. And I said, oh, that would be cool. Like, that would be something cool to do. So I ended up doing that, switching over my senior year in high school. And then from there, it was almost like, okay, I competed college. and I ended up going to USC on a full ride. And from there, just went on and competed. And because I started running really, really fast, I ran the second fastest time in the world as a sophomore in college. And that was amongst professionals. That was amongst people thought I wasn't going to come back to school. People thought, you know, she's leaving school, she's going to turn pro. I ended up staying in school because I wanted my degree. And so, yeah. And so, from then on, I just went on to compete, and I ended up breaking all the records for Puerto Rico. I broke a bunch of USC records, Pac-12 records, and ended up running, 100, 200, 400, and even the 60-meter, holding the records for all four of those actually. And then we went on to do the relay 4x1 and 4x4 relays, which I anchored, and we ended up breaking the relay team. We ended up breaking the records for those. So it was just kind of like a compilation of just meets and races. And it was like, while I was doing it, that wasn't my goal. My goal wasn't to be like, I'm going to be the fastest woman from Puerto Rico. No, my goal was just to run fast. My goal was to make the Olympic team. My goal was to medal in the Olympics. My goal was to just be the best I could be. And I ended up setting a record each time I ran, it seemed like. And I ended up kind of just, you know, creating this whole bio in the process. But yeah, that's kind of how it happened. I definitely didn't plan on doing it. It was just like, you know, it's almost like I'm enjoying the process of competing, and I'm enjoying the process of being an athlete. And then those were the results, you know?
I love it. I love it. That's dope. That is so dope. Again, that, the accolades and the things that you've accomplished, I think there's something to blueprint and show women, you know, like if we could have a carrot cake seminar, that would be dope. I would definitely sign up for that. We need Carol to teach us how to be, you know, multi-diverse entrepreneurs and women, you know, just forces in life. And I mean, and sometimes it gets hard. I know, you know, like people say I wear a lot of hats, and I do, but if I didn't, I don't think I would be happy in life. You know, I don't think that one thing, I never wanted to be boxed in. And I see that is what you are, you know, in that element of I can do anything. I can do everything. I want to learn everything. And that's important for us as women, to be as diverse and open-minded as possible. Just in life, you know, we're not one-dimensional people anymore. I think that, you know, that's the new modern day women. And you're one of those. I'm one of those, you know, and we don't have to just be boxed in, sis. We could just do everything. And
I think it's important for us to be able to do multiple things. Like they always say, you need 5 to 7 streams of revenue income coming in. So I feel like, I think it's important to build, you know, like one of the things I did want to do when I was younger was I wanted to be a mogul. I wanted to be a force. So it was like, okay, I want to do this, I'm going to do this, and I want to do this. And just, I think it's important for us to be able to always to continue to learn. You know, no matter what age we are, we're always, once we stop learning, it's like, it's a wrap. Like we always need to continue to learn and to grow and to reinvent ourselves. And on average, they say, you know, the average human being has 10 different careers maybe in their lifetime. And you could try something, and if you don't like it, don't be afraid to take risks. I think a lot of people ended up becoming boxed in because they're afraid to take the risk of doing something new and different and making foreign to them, or maybe because they feel like they're worried about people saying, well, why are you doing this, or why are you doing that, or whatever reason it is. I just feel like when we become afraid to take the risks, it's like that's when we become boxed in. Right. When we look at ourselves like, okay, I want to try this. I'm going to really dedicate myself and, you know, apply the pressure I need to apply to achieve what I want to achieve. It's like, then you're going to take the calculated risk, and you might fail, you might not, but even failing or falling, you're failing and falling forward, if that makes sense. Like instead of just being stagnant in one spot and being stuck in a box. So
that's right. Yeah. That's right. We have to motivate women. I tell people all the time, like you said, you lose when you stop trying. Right. And you stop reinventing yourself, and you stop growing. If you're not growing, you're dying. Like
Absolutely.
like you sitting still, you know, like that's important for us to keep motivating ourselves and encouraging new development mentally,
Right.
to expand our horizon. That's a lot of times I've seen people, just be very stagnant and
Right.
not knowing how to grow outside of what they've always considered their normal, and it's like, yeah, that's normal for now, but that doesn't have to be normal forever.
Right.
And you're allowed to grow, you're allowed to try new things. And
Right.
I just think that you've been a pillar in that. And I wanted to know, as far as, who would you like to most collab with if you could?
Uh, um, like underground or like mainstream?
Both. Let's do both. I want to see where Carol's at, underground
Oh,
and mainstream.
I'm like underground. You know what? There's so many underground artists. Let me see.
I might not know who it is if it's on the West Coast.
I
Yeah.
know. I'm. Okay. I'm gonna start with mainstream first. Mainstream. I'll say.
Mhm.
Oh, there's so many people mainstream. Obviously, but she's retired. I don't know if she's retired. Missy Elliott, but I feel like she's kind of.
Yeah.
Is she done? She's not done, but she kind of like
No,
pop out like here goes
she still
something and
she
then go
still
MIA.
produces. She
Yeah, she's
still
on her
produces
produce.
a lot.
Yeah, her producing stuff is dope. She's still on her production
Yeah.
tip. Yeah,
Yeah, she definitely still is in the studio. Like, I don't think Missy will ever fully leave music.
I love.
That,
She's done so. She's one of like my. If I had to say inspirations, who's one of your biggest
yep,
inspirations in music, I would say Missy, just because she writes her own stuff, she produces
yep.
her own stuff, she, she sings, she raps. She's like the full package, and she did stuff out of the box. Like she was doing some whole different type of shit back in the day when people were like, "What is she? What is she on?" Like it was a whole different vibe, and I loved it. She brought so much like innovation to music, and she
I
was like,
remember
yeah, and
my
she didn't like
cousin.
to over sexualize herself in her music.
Nope.
Like she kept it like, you know what I'm saying? It was like obviously
This
she
came out in a trash bag, okay? Do you remember
right.
that video? I
I
remember
can't
my
stand
older
the rain.
cousins.
Yep.
Yo, they came, they was like, yo, this is the new chick. Da-da-da. I'm like, what? Who
It
is
was
that?
fire though. It was like
Yes, you couldn't
futuristic.
deny her.
Yeah, she was ahead of her time. She's super ahead
Yeah.
of her time. And then she brought out Timbaland and she brought,
Yep.
Aaliyah, like Ciara, like Tweet. So for me, it's like she's like one of my biggest, for real, like pillars, like music for me.
That's dope, Carol. That's
Yeah.
dope. I
Yeah.
love that. Because again, a lot of people don't understand Missy is a multi-wearing hat woman. She does it
Right.
all. She's been musically inclined her whole life. And
Right.
people didn't know that about her at first. They
Right.
didn't know how much stuff she had already done in the industry and was working with certain artists and things like that. And I think she brought that out, in regard to like realizing that a lot of these artists that are also very multi-talented. They've been in the business already for many years,
Right.
working with other artists, that are mainstream. So, and it could be writing, it could be, just rehearsing, it could be anything, and now here they are, their own artists. I think Carrie Hilson is another artist that's like that.
Yeah, she's
Carrie was
I
writing.
love Carrie.
Yeah, she did a lot of that, in the beginning, and people didn't know who Carrie Hilson was. And then when you started looking at the credits and seeing how much stuff that she had really already worked and done, you're like, wow, I didn't know she had anything to do with that. So I think that's
a lot of people. That's so cool.
right.
Yeah.
What would you say is the message you would like to give to your fans about you?
I would say my message would be just to kind of always, I would say so much like in this environment that we're in. And when I say environment, I mean like in this new, I guess, post-pandemic environment that we're in, I guess, because it's like so many things have changed, like going back pre-pandemic and then now coming out of pandemic, and then it's just like so much happening. And I feel like in this world we're living in, I feel like the stress levels have gone up. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I just feel like the stress levels have gone up
Yeah.
because so much is happening in this environment, like economically, we're dealing with a lot of stuff like inflation and this and that. And I would just say for me, I want my fans, I feel like, and it's crazy. Like, I guess it brings me back to my social aspect of life to where I feel like we just got to stay on our grind. That's the main thing. Like, don't let none of this stuff that's happening around us, like, I mean, everything that's happening around us, inflation and this and that, don't let that discourage you. Everybody's going through it right now. A lot of people are going through tough times. And I feel like the main thing is to always stay positive, like always start the next day, the new day fresh. Don't, be too hard on yourself, but remember to stay focused and just have a positive outlook on life. That's the main thing. Cause it's kind of hard. I feel like just talking to my friends and talking to people, and a lot of people right now are going through it, I would say. And for me, I would just want to reach out to my fans and say, if you're going through something, if you're going through a struggle, if you feel like you're stuck in a rut, if you're feeling some type of way, it's just temporary. Everything we're going through is temporary, and just stay focused. And there is a brighter light at the end of the tunnel is what I want to say.
That's right. We have to encourage mental health. And just is important right now. And that's something that a lot of that are struggling with. And it's hard. It's like people don't realize, I saying once they blocked us in, and I said there's going to be a lot of domestic violence. There's going to be a lot of mental health issues, and just that are going through it, and we're still going through it. And it may not be evident, because these are the reasons, because I think post-traumatic stress disorder is not visually seen. You know what I mean? You don't necessarily see a person's trauma. You don't know exactly what they've been through mentally or endured to understand why they are, where they are right now, and that's the hard part, is that it's sometimes, a lot of times, especially in our community, it goes undiagnosed.
Absolutely.
And that's something that I tell people. It's okay to talk about your problems and the situations that you're going through, because that's how you're going to get it out.
Right. And I feel like in our community,
you have to.
Right. And I feel like in our community, we deal with it on the most, dealing with so much. And then on top of that, we go out and then we deal with all the systemic bullshit that happens. And it's just a lot. Like, we're dealing with so much more on top of what the average, I guess you say, American, whoever deals with, we deal with so much more on top of that. So it's like, we really just got to take care of ourselves. And even if it's like a day where you just like, okay, I'm going to turn my phone off. I'm going to go outside, take a walk, get some fresh air, do something that I like to do something that I enjoy, just to kind of like, give yourself that self-love, because stuff is hard and it's tough and it's a lot going on. I think it's just always good to just try to keep a positive outlook on life and try to not look at everything as, but any problem that you're going through mentally, physically, it's not the end all be all. It's just temporary obstacle that we go through. And I want people to understand that there's definitely, we can overcome whatever we're going through. And we are, there's a brighter light at the end of the tunnel, for sure.
That's right. Yeah. It's all about, looking for the right outlets. I tell people that, like, you got to find the right outlets that are going to ease you, that are going to calm you, that are going to, meditation is important. I think that a lot of people don't understand our mind is usually our biggest enemy, Absolutely. And that sometimes is like where we got to get our heads, like, or what we were trained to believe was okay or acceptable, or, and I just think as a woman, as a biracial, multiracial woman, I think it's hard for us. And I think that sometimes people don't realize that. And in honor of Women's Month, I wanted to bring you and just show that there's sisters out here, there's people out here that are making a difference, that are getting up every day and not giving up, and, just going through the struggle and going through the fight of it, because we know there's something better, there's something greater at the end of the tunnel, So tell me, who would you say is your female inspiration of all time?
Ooh, that's hard.
In honor of women.
Of all time, Oh, because I love so many different ones.
Give me five. Give me five.
Five. Okay. I see my top. Let me say, top. Okay, top five. Top five. Oprah for sure. Oprah, she's the GOAT. I would say
Of all time.
She's the GOAT. If you look at her whole entire like bibliography,
Yep.
where she started, what she has to go through, like definitely
Yep.
Oprah for sure.
That's my biggest.
That's your biggest she's the GOAT.
They call me the Oprah of New England. They're always like, listen, I'm like, listen, I'm trying. Like, that was one of my biggest motivations and inspirations. And I tell people, like, it's bigger than just the podcast. It's actually having a network that I can run and basically give my people, their culture and give it to them in a tasteful manner. I think that's important. I think that we need to own our stuff, and actually develop and, do things from the beginning. So, okay, let's go back to your five. Oprah one.
Okay, say Oprah, just the overall Oprah for sure. I would say number two, she passed away pretty early, but just like on the athletic scale, she did a lot. I'm gonna say FloJo.
Yeah.
FloJo. Yeah, FloJo for me coming up, like watching her run, and then she brought like the fashion. She brought the for me, she brought the fashion sport. Like I wore long hair, I wore my high socks, I wore long nails, I had my lashes on, makeup. Like she brought that flavor, that fire to the sport, Yeah. So definitely FloJo and track and field and just overall sports, I would say overall. Politically, even though she doesn't want to get involved in politics, but she did a really good job just being on that political scale, would be Michelle Obama. I love Michelle Obama. Like, I just love how, like, just everything about her. She's just, I don't know. She's like a reflection of Obama, but in a female version. So I feel like she could definitely run for president and win, but I feel that she doesn't want to. So, definitely Michelle Obama. I don't know. I think I might only have top three. Maybe I did have a lot.
Top three?
Yeah,
but those are
for sure. I could say those three for sure are like inspirational women that I look up to. Say like those are the people I want to inspire to be like.
That's dope. That's dope. I love it, sis. I love it. Like Michelle Obama for me too, because after seeing Becoming Michelle, was it or Becoming? Did you see that documentary that she did?
I did.
And I cried. I had real tears. Like I was like so emotional and taken back because I never really followed her. I admired her from afar. So I kind of, like I just felt like, okay, you never really got to know who she was. So now watching this documentary, I'm like, wow, sis, you kept it authentic. You kept our culture there and you held your own. Like that's important. Like I don't think people understand. Like I tell people, like, sometimes being in the environments that I've been in around, other races and things like that, and being the only minority, and having to overly prove myself as not only a Black woman, but also as a woman. And it's hard because why is that acceptable, in our culture that, because we're Black, we have to prove that we are just as much entitled or acceptable or acknowledged as any other race. No, it's not fair that we have to overly prove that,
You have to work 20 times harder for sure. Like if you see us in a position, just know we worked 50 times harder to get there, to get to the position we're in. Like it wasn't no cakewalk. It was a lot harder.
That's right.
And speaking of that, when you were talking, another woman came to mind. I don't know how I forgot her, but she's like Black historically, Madam C.J. Walker. Forgot.
What you have? Oh my girl!
The entrepreneur side, how she.
That's right.
Like, did you see her series?
Yes.
And so like,
sis.
Like, she
was another woman mind. Like
the first woman millionaire. Like, period.
That's
and
right.
People don't talk about that. People are like, oh, she's the Black first. No,
She's
not
a
the first
black
black. The first.
millionaire
Period.
off of
Like,
hair products.
yes,
I
the first.
always give her flowers.
The first female, like not just black female, the first female overall, the first
Mm-hmm.
female millionaire ever, like
Yep.
ever. So yeah, Madam C.J. Walker.
That's so dope.
Yeah.
I have this book that I was given when I was a kid, and my aunt in California. I have family that's in California actually too, so shout out to them.
Hey.
Yay, they from Oakland, but actually they're now in Sacramento. So that now they're in Sac. But my aunts have been out there for over, I want to say 40 years. They were out there before I even was born. My aunt, she moved out to Cali. She's a lawyer. She became a judge.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she comes from a family of 10 kids. And the women in my life have been so inspirational and so influential that it allowed me to see that I didn't have to be boxed in, you know?
Right.
And I think that's important, to be good role models and to be, you know, better leaders and, you know, just peer counselors to our younger people and our youth. Whether it's, you know, just people we know from the neighborhood or people we know from, you know, our friends, family, however it goes. I'm the best cousin, the best auntie, the best, because I want to give kids that opportunity to see that there's good people out here still making a difference and that you can do anything you want in this life. And don't let your color, your gender, none of that slow you down, because there's space for all of us, you know, and I just think we need to own it. You know, we need to definitely give our women our flowers and, you know, just tell us how much you've inspired and motivated so many other people, you know, and I think that's important as women. Like I said to somebody, they asked me, with working with men and working with women, what would you say is the big difference?
For me?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I feel like it's okay. I don't want to sound cliche, but it is a man's world. Like they say, a lot of it's a man's world, quote unquote. And then coming from, you know, being an athlete, which is another male dominated arena, and then going into music, which is another. They're starting to have more female rappers, which I'm excited about, but it's still overall a male dominated industry. And for me, it's just like, it's hard. I would say it's harder for us women to work with men just because there's so many different elements that become involved, especially like in athletics is totally different. In athletics, it's like either you're producing and you're doing what you're doing and you're running fast or you're not, or you're competing well or you're not. It's just real, like kind of like black and white. And music is different because you could be a dope artist, but then you don't have the right manager, you don't have the right PR, you don't have the right person behind you, and you could be dope and never go, you can go unseen because there's a lot of politics involved. And I feel like in the music industry, I feel like a lot of men, and Ashanti has even spoke on this, I feel like a lot of men tend to play off of that. And it's almost like they play, I don't want to say all men, but a lot of men play gatekeeper in this industry. And a lot of them will try to like finesse certain things to get what they want for you to make it to the next level, you know? So for me, it's like working with men. I mean, I can work with anybody at the end of the day, but working with men is always a little bit harder just because it's almost like, okay, going into a situation, you want to make sure like, okay, is this person being genuine? It's in the music industry, speaking wise, is this person being genuine? Is this person actually have my best interest or not? Are they more so looking out for them? What is their agenda? Like, you kind of have to almost like question what the relationship is, if that makes sense. So even like me having a manager, like I have a female manager because I feel more comfortable having a female manager. Like I had a male manager and it was just kind of like, it was like, they really didn't really deliver how I want them to deliver. And so, and even like, it's just different. Like I feel like as a woman, it's a lot harder for us because we're expected to deal with so much more. We're dealing with men trying to come at us, trying to talk to us. And, I would say it's like a crazy industry when it comes to music, especially as a female artist. You deal with a lot, Ashanti talks about it, Nicki Minaj talks about it, and a lot of people talk about it, but it's just kind of like, okay, I feel like there need to be more women in position of power to basically put women on, if that makes sense. Like I'm
Right.
happy that
And make
Nicki
change.
Minaj. Yeah, I'm happy that Nicki Minaj has her own record label. It's like, okay,
That's right.
that's a woman in position of power to help put other people, in
Right.
position as well. So it's like, because
And
going through
knowing what she had to go through as an artist, coming up, and how people told her to change her body, and how she was told she had to look a certain way, and dress a certain way, and she became somewhat like a puppet to the industry in a way. You know
right,
what I mean?
right,
And that's important for us as women to understand, is that we don't have to be told how to dress and what to do, and how to sell ourselves and how to market ourselves and in this industry anymore. You know what I mean? Like, we can be fully dressed and still get the same acknowledgement and you know, the same pull and the same, just demand. So it's important to understand that. Like, I think that women are overly, sextized, whatever. It's like, it's definitely, I mean, and I'm not going to say that sex doesn't sell. It does. You know what I mean?
right.
People want to know the unknown. But I think that it has to be done in a tasteful way sometimes. I think that, there's a crowd for everything, and it all depends on what you like and what you're into, and, um, things like that. I think that when I was coming up and I was rapping and things like that, like, it was hard for me to get into freestyles at first. I had to become better than the guys
Right,
that were in the sessions. And I think
right.
females don't understand that. Back then, there was not a lot of females rapping in our
No,
era growing up.
no.
Like, I was the only female on my block. So it was
Right.
like,
That's how it is.
you become that person, because, and people would say, oh, you rap like a dude, but I had to battle with dudes. I had to
That's the
become
best way
the
to
dude.
be. That's the best
Right.
way to me. That's the best way to be, because I feel like that's what our industry low key is kind of lacking. I feel like a lot of women nowadays, in order for you to quote unquote make it, they make you over sexualize yourself, like you were saying. They
Hmm.
make you, it's like over the top. It's like almost like to an extent where women are talking about. It's almost like, I don't want to say prostitution, but it's like, dang, like that's all we talk about in every song,
Right.
every song, like it gets kind of like burnt out, you know.
Right.
So
And
for
it,
me,
and
it's
it's,
like, oh, go ahead.
yep. Go ahead, sis. I see you.
Oh, yeah, and for me, it's just about, I want to hear something like I said, we came up mainly on hearing male rappers, and then when females did come in, they weren't talking about that type of stuff. You had the
Hmm.
Salt and Pepper, you had MC Light, like the Brat. You didn't hear about all that type of stuff. It was like women actually who had dope flow, dope cadence, like dope content. And now it's like everything is so about sex, 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 sex. And I get it, sex does sell, but it's like overkill. It's
That's right.
overkill, especially with black women. It's like, why do we black women have to over sexualize ourselves? When you hear about some of the few white female rappers, they really don't have to over sexualize themselves as much as we do, you know?
Right.
And I feel like for me, it's just like overkill. So it's like,
Right.
it's time to kind of start bringing out this new era of rap, of female rappers, to not always talk about being, you know, I'm scamming this dude or whatever, my pussy that, I don't know if I can cuss, but whatever,
Yeah, you can.
saying all
You
that
can.
type of stuff. Yeah, like
Right.
all, like every song, every artist is like the same. And you know what? That brings me back to like Glorilla. She's a new female artist. And I actually
Hmm.
admire a lot of her music, even though
Hmm.
people say she rap like a dude. She sound like a dude.
Right.
I like
Feel
her style because she's not talking about the same shit over and over. She's not talking about, over sexualizing herself. She has like a
right.
tough kind of like, and I like it. I'm like, okay, finally something different, because I'm
Right.
just tired of hearing like the same old, like,
Hmm.
it just becomes burnt out at some point.
Exactly. And this is the thing. I love Remy. Remy Ma
Yeah,
was
me
like
too.
one
Me
of
too.
my biggest, in that time of me really getting into music and, trying to perform and things like that. And Remy was that girl, she was the
Yeah,
one
she
that
dope.
was, hitting them bars and just saying things that I could relate to growing up in that era as a black woman, and just feeling like she came from where I came from, even though she wasn't from the same city. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like that was important for me to understand that there's other females out here that are struggling, trying to get into this industry because they have these hard bars and they say these things that, oh, a dude's supposed to say. Like, but this is what we grew up around. This is our culture, you know, and this is a part of it. I think that, you know, a lot of times nowadays, Black women are labeled as alpha, and
Yeah.
very, you know, and very dominant. But we had to learn to be these women, you know, it wasn't, and sometimes it's not even learning, you know, it's something that's inherited in us because we
Right.
come from a line of women
Right.
who had to do
Right.
it by themselves.
Exactly.
You know, that's
Right.
important for us to understand that. Like sometimes people say, "Oh, you're very aggressive when it comes to business," or "You're very aggressive
I
when it
hate
comes."
that
But
term.
I have to,
Yeah.
yeah. It's
I
like I
hate that.
have to be sometimes. You got to turn it on and turn it off, and I love that about you that you wear so many hats. Like I say to people, I'm a jack of many trades.
Right.
Um, I'm still working on my masters on a lot of
Yeah.
them. You know,
That's
like I'm
good.
still
Congrats.
trying to get. You know, it's like it's a work in process, and I think that we all go through that. You know, at some point in this business and this life is wearing multiple hats. One of my questions today was, if it wasn't for music, what would you be doing? But I know what you would be doing because you do so much already. So
Right.
tell me about the real estate and the apparel company that you have. Tell us a
Yeah.
little
So
bit about that.
I'm wearing one of my TRACKSTAR hoodies right now. See, with the QR code on my arm. And yeah.
Ow!
So TRACKSTAR versus TRACKSTAR. I'll get into that first. So TRACKSTAR versus TRACKSTAR is my apparel line that I came out with during the pandemic. I did
Wow.
it as a play. I did it for multiple reasons, but I did it kind of as like a way to create a form of merch for myself, for my
Yeah.
music.
Mm-hmm.
Because I said, okay, well, as an artist, but then I have an athlete background. I'm an athlete. I said, what merchandise would represent me well? What represents Carol? What embodies me? So TRACKSTAR versus TRACKSTAR for me was it, because it's like, okay, I've been a track star my entire life, and now here I am phasing into the second part of my life, second chapter of my life. Track star. What does that
Mm-hmm.
embody? It embodies Carol Cake. It embodies the entrepreneur. It embodies, now real estate. So for me, it was like, this makes sense. It has to make. If it doesn't make sense, I'm not gonna do it. You
That's
know.
right.
And then another reason why I came out with this clothing line is because I wanted to raise awareness about the sport. Me being a hardcore track and field, I would say I'm a fan of track and field, and I'm an athlete of track and, a competitor, or was a former competitor of track and field. And I felt like the sport just goes so unnoticed to an extent,
Right.
because I feel like as a track and field, former track and field athlete, people would always ask me like, "Hey, when can I watch one of your meets? Where can I watch one of your meets? Where can I see you run?" And it was just like, I have to like send them all these different links, or send them like my whole schedule, or like my agent would send me like my race schedule, and I would send it to them, like, try to come or try to stream it on, different like channels. But I just feel like track and field doesn't get the recognition, or it doesn't get the flowers that it deserves. And even though so many people competed in the sport at one point in their life,
Right.
a lot of people competed in high school, junior high, some
That's
went on to
right.
college. And I feel like so many people, if the sport had a bigger platform like NBA or
Right.
NFL, where, okay, this meet's gonna be on at this time of the day on Wednesday. Like you're tuning in, you're watching. We
Mm-hmm.
never had that. We really didn't have that, in the sport. So for me, it was just about bringing awareness to the sport, and creating like almost like a social awareness, and creating a conversation about the sport. Because every time I wear this outside, people are like, "Hey, like, you ran track?" Or if they don't know me, "Did you run track?" And they start talking about they ran track, and where can I get one of those? And I'm like, I'm the
Right.
owner. So I think it's just about raising
Right.
awareness to the sport. Yeah, I want to bring awareness and pay homage to the sport, because the sport has done a lot for me. It changed my life, and I'm
Right.
just like, this sport goes so unnoticed. Let's just bring awareness to the sport. That's what it's about. So that was where TRACKSTAR versus TRACKSTAR came from.
I love that, Carol.
Yeah.
I
And
love
then,
that.
oh, go ahead.
That is so dope. Like, no, that is so dope. Like the marketing, like that's important, you know, is people don't understand that in regards to merchandising themselves, creating a brand, creating awareness. It's a lot that goes into this. And I think you embodied that. It speaks to who you are as a person and who you've
Thank
been as a
you.
person.
Yeah.
And again, like, so because sometimes you see people come up with these branding ideas and you're like, where the hell did they come up with that from? What the, like, what does that correlate to being anything that has to do with you and who you are and what you stand for?
Right.
So that's important, like that you show that. That just that way of being is important. I tell artists that, like, you have to own your image. You have to own who you are as a person
Right.
in this music industry. And if you don't want to be, categorized or commercialized, then you have to start from the beginning branding yourself
Right.
and owning who you are as the brand. It's a business. You're a business. We're a walking business, whether it be, whatever content we're creating, whatever, the image that we're creating behind the character that we have out in this virtual world is a brand.
Right.
Um, and that's important for artists to understand that it's it's not easy. You have to come up with all the 1, 2, 3s, the steps.
Yeah.
How you gonna sell it? Who's gonna be
Yeah. And
attracted
because
to it?
right. And for me, like the main thing, my target demographic was anybody. So for instance, X track star versus track star. Track star, anybody who's competing in track, whether it's high school athletes, college athletes, kids, anybody who's competing in track, anybody who's a current track athlete, I feel like this would be something, you walking around with a track star shirt on at your track meet, like,
That's
or
right.
and then like X track star, like the people who used to compete, the people who used
Right.
to run. You got the people, oh, I ran. Like it's funny because my demographic that that I end up selling these to, like I've had people in their 70s contact me, like, oh, I ran track, back in the day when I was in college, like, and it just brings them to the point where they're so excited to talk about their past track and field career, like, oh, I ran the 800 back in 1975, like stuff like that,
Right.
like stories like that. And it's like, well, you're a forever track star, so you need an X track star hoodie, like you need an X track star hoodie.
Right.
So my demographic was definitely, I didn't want to like I said, box myself in and say, well, only women or only men or only this or that. Like I wanted, track is such a universal sport and so many
That's
people
right.
have competed in it, and it's one of the original sports. I said, okay, well, let me just raise awareness about the sport overall. And my goal is to have everybody having like an X track star or a track star hoodie, and it creates it's a good
That's right.
conversation starter.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. And
So
then
tell us. Yep. Go
okay,
ahead. Go ahead. Go
real
ahead. Go ahead.
estate, real estate.
Yep.
So real estate for me was my stepdad. He did loans and mortgages. He passed away in 2018, but he was into mortgage. He owned his own mortgage company. And so I
Right.
got exposed to real estate back in elementary school when I used to watch my stepdad do loans and do mortgages for people. And I used to hear him talk. I really didn't know what was going on, but I used to hear him talk about, we just closed the loan, we just closed the mortgage, we just closed. And now coming up and becoming older, and I understand how important it is. Ownership
Right.
across the board, ownership, like being an artist, owning your masters, owning your music, owning your stuff, you know, owning your clothing line, owning your own content, owning everything. Because right now, a lot of people don't own their stuff. And for me,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, what is the biggest thing? What is the biggest purchase somebody can own in this lifetime that we live here on earth? And it's owning property.
That's right.
And I feel like owning property is something that is so important, but that does not get enough attention as well, or talked about within our community as well, because we're not really taught how important it is. And it
Right.
sucks because we should be learning this stuff at a young age, but we're not.
That's
And
right.
I feel like for me, it's like, okay, me getting into real estate, me understanding how important it is for people to own property, especially within our community. Ownership is creating generational wealth. Ownership creates equity. Ownership creates pretty much everything, and
Right.
collateral, leverage, like it just, the list goes on and on. And so for me, it was like getting into real estate, I wanted to be able to help people own property. It's
That's
important that we
right.
own property. It's important that, we're able to build off of, the land that we are owed at the end of the day. So it's like, I think, for me, the main thing for me getting into real estate was to help people own property, was to help myself. I wanted to learn more about it myself. I didn't want to just, get into it as an investor. I wanted to learn, I wanted to go and
Right.
go to real estate school, take my exam. You know, I passed my exam on the first time. Like, I really
Yep.
wanted to just dive deep into it. And okay, if I'm gonna help people own, I want to be able to help people learn as well. So when like
That's
I
right.
work with my clients, like I closed one of my deals in my first deal in January of this year, and he was a first time home buyer. He went to USC with me. He ran track with me, and you know, we got a place in View Park, which is amazing area, beautiful area. And for me, it was just like, it was a learning process for both of us. And that's my thing. I want to be able to help people learn about ownership and how important it is and
That's
how it
right.
works, so we can repeat the process, so you can build your real estate portfolio and just create generational wealth. So,
That's so that is so dope. That's another thing that we share in common. I actually had my real estate license for some years.
oh,
But it was
nice.
during the time when the market was bad, and it was like, oh, you can only do this part time. You can't do this full time. And it was just, it was something that I loved, that I enjoyed, that I have always wanted to know about, and I felt always was important. And I just, again, I don't think people understand. Carol is at the cream of the crop when it comes to real estate. She works in Beverly Hills. If you know anything about real estate, like that is like ambition at the ultimate peak. Like that's where I wanted to be. I said, if anywhere I'm gonna be, it's gonna be in Beverly Hills somewhere, selling multi-million-dollar houses.
Yeah, I
Because
love
you
it.
understand the money aspect. When you start thinking
Right.
about money and the commission, and you're like, listen, I want to sell multi-million-dollar houses. Who better? What better?
Yeah.
But I also, again, want to teach my people and the people that, are interested in real estate, how important it is. And like you said, learning every aspect of that business. My TV stays on HGTV.
Yeah.
That is
Same.
like my channel. Like people come to the house, they're like, "Why is your channel on H?" I'm like, because I like it. I'm
Right.
sitting there watching. I'm learning.
Exactly. No, absolutely. I know it's important. There's so many ways you can make money in real estate. Like,
That's right.
obviously, I'm a realtor. My office is in Beverly Hills. I'm in the resale. I resell property. And even aside to resell, like, you know, you can flip houses. There's ways you can
That's
flip.
right.
There's ways you can do, you know, on the developing side. You know, there's so many different ways you can make money in real estate. You know, investment side. There's so many different ways. And so for me, it's just like, I want to be able to, you know, I have my license. I'm helping people purchase property, but I definitely want to help people just build their portfolio, and I want to build my portfolio. And that's, you know, that's
That's
where I'm at
right.
with, like, I think it's important. I think it's important for people to get out of the mindset of like getting stuck in the, like, I'm just gonna rent, 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 rent. Renting is cool, but it's
Right.
like, I always tell people, if you have the money to buy now. Like, if you have
Right.
the money to buy, and people are like, well, I'm gonna wait for the market to, I'm like, just Google the house that you liked 5 years ago and look
That's
at the
right.
price. Look at the price 5 years ago and look at the price today, and you tell me if it's cheaper today.
That's
Like,
right.
it's
That's
not
right.
cheap. Yeah, it's not going to be cheaper today. 5 years from now,
That's
I'm going to have
right.
5 years worth of equity. So I try to
Right.
tell people, like, if you have the money to buy, or if you have the, you know, the business portfolio to buy now.
That's
So
right, Carol.
yeah.
My aunts and them always say that to me. They're like, "So what? You're single. So what? You don't have kids. You could still flip that." If I was like, "Yeah, but I don't want to buy right now. The market's bad." And she's like, "Listen, it's better now than never."
It's
And
better now.
and that's where it's like, you have to go and do your research. You have to understand, because just because people are saying, oh, it's a housing bubble right now, it's gonna burst. And then when it bursts, everything's gonna have to recycle and filter out, and you're gonna see who is gonna be able to withstand this recession that's ahead of us, supposedly, after this pandemic. So you
Right.
know I try to at least give people the understanding that yes, you can wait to see, but we don't know how long that's going to take. You know what I mean? But if you have the money now, you can
Buy
buy.
now.
And yeah. And
I always tell my buyers, like, you're gonna deal with two things. Back before, when interest rates were really low, 2%, 3%, everybody's like, oh my gosh, blah blah. You dealt with
yeah.
low interest, but you dealt with low interest rates, but then you dealt with a very high purchase price, because you
Hmm.
dealt with houses that had 20 offers, bidding wars, houses that were overselling for $150,000, overpriced houses,
Yep.
because seller's market. So you're going to deal with that aspect. Now that the feds raise the interest rates up, yes, the interest rates are higher, but now you're dealing with a lower purchase price. So it's like, okay, you're dealing with a lower purchase price. If you buy now with the higher interest rate, you can always refinance when the interest rates drop, and you're still building the equity. Right. So it's like a pick one of the others. You're gonna have to deal with one or the other. But at the end of the day, when you're renting, it's like you're just paying somebody else's mortgage off at the end of the day. And then when you move, you have nothing really to show. It's kind of like, okay, I'm moving. You're not selling a property. You're not gaining any, money, equity, anything. You might not even get your deposit back. Like,
that's right.
And that's it. So I try to tell people, like, whether you want to buy and flip, or buy and do like a long hold, and have tenants, or buy, rehab, refinance, and repeat. Like, there's so many different things you can do. I just think it's important to buy. And I always tell people, for your first property, buy a multifamily. In California, I don't know if they have them on the East Coast, but you guys have them on the East Coast, right? Multifamily.
Yeah, we have multifamilies. Yep.
They're really popular out here, especially they just passed a law now where you can turn your detached garage into an accessory dwelling unit. So I always tell people, like, try to get a multifamily for your first property. You could do it under FHA. They just raised the rate up to $1 million out here in LA County. I try to tell people, get like a duplex or a triplex. Yeah, it's $1 million for, if you get a fourplex for FHA, you can do up to $2 million in LA County. I try to tell people, get a fourplex, live in one unit, get 3 tenants, rent it out.
That's right.
Stay there for 2 years. You could turn it into an income property, and that'll be your income property. Use that as collateral to get your next property. Like, there's so many different ways. And I try to tell people, and it's not as hard as it seems. We just have to have patience.
Right. Patience is a virtue in this business of real estate. It's definitely waiting out and, just doing your research. Like I tell people, it's all about the research. When I'm looking at investments and, I'm looking at 5 years from now, what is expected? What is the overall growth expectancy of this property? And I'm looking at the neighborhood. I'm looking at the curb appeal. I'm looking at, what the other houses are going for in that market. Right. And, after martyrdizing or, upgrades and things like that, how much more can you get out of that property? And just understanding that, like, I have a lot of friends that do real estate as well. And they, they tell me, T, it's about basically getting in when it's low and selling when it's high. Exactly. You don't have to stay in a house or in a mortgage for the period or the term. No, and I think that's where people get that misconstrued. Like, oh, I'm going to be on this mortgage for the next 50 years. No, you don't.
No, you're not.
See you later.
Especially if it's your first house, it could be a starter home. Right. It could be a starter home. You don't like it, get rid of it, sell it. Like, after 2 years, you can sell it. You have the equity of 2 years that you're selling.
That's right.
And then, like, with everything happening, gentrification is happening all over. I'm sure it's happening.
Yeah.
It's happening.
Of course, yeah.
So I tell people, like, look, gentrification is happening. So get into these areas, because I'm telling you, 10 years from now, it's going to be a lot harder to get in. So it's like, get in now, whether you want to stay there yourself, whether you want to create an income property for yourself, I think ownership, or whether you want to flip it and sell to somebody else. I think it's just actually doing it. I think people are scared to take that risk, and they're like, well, I don't know. And I don't want to be here for 50 years. And it's like, you got to look at it from like an aspect to where this is not, even though you're moving there, it's not like your end all be all. It could still be a starter house for you. You just want to be able to build your portfolio and build wealth,
Right. Right. I think you have so much knowledge and just, like so much to give, and I think that people need to follow Carol Kate because she's
Thank you.
What's next, sis, for you? I know I had talked to Angel a couple of weeks ago, and she was like, "We trying to get Carol out here." I said, "Well, you get her out here. We're gonna get her some stuff." Okay.
I want to come out to the East Coast. I love the East Coast. Oh my gosh, I love the East Coast. So hopefully, I'm out there soon. I know, like, the weather. Hopefully, it gets a little warmer, and I can come out there when it's a little warmer for sure. But I love the East Coast so much. So yeah, I'll be out there soon. You'll see me soon, and then. I forgot to mention this. I'm doing a reality show. How can I forget this? I'm doing a reality show. I don't know if you had seen, but I had went on.
I seen a clip of you.
Yeah. So I auditioned for Baddies West on the Zeus Network. I'm friends. my audition went viral. I don't know if you've seen, but it went because me and Tommy Lee had a little exchange of words with each other. Nothing crazy, but just like a little, whatever. She said something slick, and I said something back, and but it was funny. But it went viral, and so now I'm doing a show. I'm friends with Natalie. Me and her went to college together. We grew up together. We've been friends for like over 20 years. But now I'm doing another show. It's called The Real West Coast Baddies. People are like, well, it's not West Coast Baddies. It's called The Real West Coast Baddies. It's on a different network called the Knicks Network, NYX, the NYX Network. The owner, she is a female. She's Black, super cool. Her name is Promise. I actually met her at the audition. Yeah, I met her at the auditions, and she was auditioning as well. And there was thousands of girls there, and like a lot of us didn't get chose. And so she ended up saying, well, you know what? This isn't the end all be all for me. She decided to go and start her own network, like a Zeus, but it's called the Knicks. She started her own network. She has her show called The Real West Coast Baddies. And me and her ended up following each other because we clicked during the auditions. Because there's a lot of us waiting around. So me and her ended up talking and being cool with each other. And we followed each other, and then I seen her posting about it, and I was liking her stuff, and she ended up reaching out like, hey, are you interested in joining my show? I have my own show. I have my own network. And I'm like, what? Like, sure. Like, why not? So now,
that's right.
We're doing a show called The Real West Coast Baddies. We've been in production doing light filming, and at the end of this month, March 29th to April 8th, I want to say we're going to be in Vegas filming all of us together in the house. So I'm excited about that.
Okay. So when is it expected to air? Is it next year, or how
they're saying it's going to air, like, apparently it's going to be airing, I think in this April or May, this spring, it should be airing. So, and it's going to be on the Knicks network.
Mm-hmm. That'll be so dope. You have to keep me posted. I'm definitely going to have Angel tag me as soon as she finds find out. Because we're definitely going to push that for you. I love your energy. I support you. You have a sister now here on the East Coast. Definitely hit me up. Tag me in anything you have going on. UpnorthCityGirlz appreciates women like you. And I'm just going to keep rooting for you. You definitely have my support, Carol.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me and talking and having fun and just sharing our energy together. So thank you so much. And I will tag you on everything for sure and keep you updated on what's going on.
Okay. I look forward to it. We're going to get you out here real soon.
Okay, for sure.
All right. Have a good one. Bye. Enjoy your Sunday.
Thank you too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, baby. Bye.
Ringtone. What you mean where I'm at? Shit, I ain't at home. He in his feelings. He said he hates sleeping alone. Bust down, put this pussy in his mouth. He let his grill in, cause that nigga from the south. Wanna fuck with me, I'ma turn his ass out. Tryna post me on the gram, cause that nigga chasing clout. And I'ma act like I don't know you when I see you out. These niggas for everybody, I just fuck them out. Nigga play a position, like you running routes. And all the ballers looking for me like I am the scout. He said he wanna slay, said a cakeana. Got his baby mama mad, that bitch a Haitiana. Man without the knife scars, no fakeana. Said he wanna taste, I'ma sit it on his faceiana. Carol. Call me the head honcho, bitch. I pull my weight max out and live. Scoring points with no assist. You are a fraud, I am legit. Oh, you mad cause you irrelevant? I'm talking shit just for the hell of it. Be the kid talking shit in detention. Figure of authority, never did I listen. Call it college graduate, always had my own vision. Puerto Rican Al Pacino, making more than a tuition. Got my own company, I make all decisions. Dictator mindset, you better ask permission. Running into me, you better off in a collision. I show no sympathy for a verbiage or a pigeon. I fell in love with a fuck boy. I fell in love, I fell in love, I fell in love with a fuck boy. I fell in love, I fell in love, I fell in love with a fuck boy. I fell in love, I fell in love, I fell in love with a fuck boy. Better ask permission. Running into me, you better off in a collision. I show no sympathy for a verbiage or a pigeon. I fell in love with a fuck boy. I fell in love, I fell in love, I fell in love with a fuck boy. I fell in love, I fell in love, I fell in love with a fuck boy. I fell in love, I fell in love, I fell in love with a fuck boy. I fell in love, I fell in love. Have you ever fell in love with a fuck boy? Come around popping shit with that fuck noise. I'm a thoroughbred bitch, I'm the real McCoy. I had to cancel that nigga, put him on void. I'm flying all around in my new toy, smoking on hips of that elbow. I should've never fucked around with that fuck boy. Nigga, shut your ass up with that fuck noise. Tree step and wine, tree step and wine, tree step and wine. Mommy, do your dance. Tree step and wine, tree step and wine, tree step and wine. Tree step and wine, tree step and wine, tree step and wine. We gon' run away. Tree step and wine, tree step and wine, tree step and wine. Driving down the beach and my top is down. Got the cameras bumping that island sound. Police on my tail, I ain't slowing down. Need that rude gal living in that West Coast town. Que bonita, de veces Puerto Rico to all of my chicas. Boricua, que bonita, de veces Puerto Rico. Be about your cake, step your game up. I don't count on nobody to do shit for me. Only thing I count is paper. Y'all fake woke, it's time to wake up. Bloodline tracing back to the tribe of Judah or the 12 tribes of Jacob. Late nights turn to early morning hustle, gotta stay up. At the crib, quarantine, making plays like a layup. And then I call my nigga so we could lay up. He said he like me natural, I don't need to wear no makeup. The Karen bitch, she can get her jaw tested. She gon' try to play victim just so I can get arrested. Got these hating hoes sick, man, they all congested. Count the profit, put it back in, bitch, I stay invested.